Because of the nature of the trampoline and the deeper throw and the G-force that's created by using bungees, you're going to recruit up to 30% more muscle doing the same exercises on the ground. So who doesn't want to get more benefit doing the exact same thing in the same amount of time? I don't know if you've ever seen kids when they go to the trampoline park. If you just pay attention, they all are smiling.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not just they're just having a good time. This is actually a biological thing where your body releases serotonin, oxytocin, dopamine. Your brain gets flooded with all of those happy hormones. So that's why you're happy. That's the part that people don't understand, is that the health benefits of this product, I think, sometimes far outweigh the physical benefit of doing my exercises or working out. But here's the one thing.
It's co-engagement. So what you're doing is you're getting a sympathetic signal from the work. So your body's, and again, that reaction we call vigilance. But at the same time, we're getting a parasympathetic co-engagement, which I believe is the foundation of flow state. And so when we look at optimal experience and understanding flow state, I think you have to have both. You have to have both the fear response and the recovery response, the sympathetic, parasympathetic. And I think you're creating something that goes right into flow state, which from a creative standpoint, Steve, it is gold.
What's interesting, I think, with the flow state, I'm glad that you mentioned it, because we're talking about 3 to 5 minute bounce. I think for an average Joe bag of donuts, as Don would usually say, it takes quite a bit of time to get into that flow state. It's not an instant switch from the stressed, distracted mind. But when you're rebounding, I think your physical and emotional body is pretty much forced to get into a state of I'm here right now, and that creates that sympathetic parasympathetic balance and allows for that flow state to come about much faster than if you were to just like wait for it writing something. Welcome back to the 90% Healthy Podcast. I'm Klaudia, your co-host. I've got Don here with me.
Hey, Klaudia, how are you doing today?
I am awesome.
And
how
for
are you?
Our audience, if you've not been following Klaudia on social media, you need to go find the longevity journalist and catch up on the work that she did down in the Amazon. It looks so cool. I am so jealous. I think that was so cool. So if you're listening, you should probably go give a follow to longevity journalist.
And well, wait a minute. Is that what we're talking about today? The Amazon? Because I think that would be great.
I know, it would be fun. And yeah, we've got a guest today. We've got Steve Carver from JumpSport. He's got 30 years in the fitness industry and is director of business and product development with JumpSport. So we are going to talk about rebounding, jumping in a way that is so fun. And I've been a long time fan of trampolines, but there's a lot more to it than defying gravity. I want to dive deep into the science a little bit, the psychology, the physiology, the biology, all the things that has to come with doing an exercise that seems super simple, yet can be really profound to a lot of people in various stages of their lives and very low impact. So, Steve, welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Well, thanks for having me. I know I won't be as exciting as the Amazon, but I think I can shed some light on some of the misconceptions or disinformation that people understand about a trampoline and, how can it possibly be that beneficial to their overall existence?
Since you mentioned misconceptions, I want to start out with just one little thing that I think a lot of people think about when it comes to rebounding and jumping on a trampoline. Mm-hmm. Is it just cardio?
No. Look, one of the great benefits of using a trampoline as part of your workout program is to do your cardio on there because of the non-impactive nature of it. Specifically, I'm going to talk, when I talk about things specifically, will be about JumpSport in general, but rebounding as a whole is a very beneficial platform to use for cardiovascular exercise. So in the old days, they used springs as part of, the offering when they had the personal fitness trampoline or whatever you want. A mini rebounder, what they've been called a lot of things.
Yes.
The original invention was by a guy named George Nissen back in the 30s. He was an acrobat and he didn't want to have this little jump board. So he created his own little miniature trampoline, not specifically for working out, but to help him do acrobatics or gymnastics. Mm-hmm. And then fast forward He created a company called Nissan Trampolines, and all those ones you see at Cirque du Soleil that have the side beds on them and they bounce sideways and do all that. George Nissen invented all of that. And, you know, he was one of those guys that hung out with Joseph Pilates and Jack LaLanne and Charles Atlas and all the guys in the olden days. Don probably is like, yeah, I remember all those guys. It was kind of, those were our idols back when we were starting out. Those were the godfathers of exercise. So he was one of those people. Fast forward, the 80s, 90s came, and a guy invented, you know, this new concept called urban rebounding. And he took the miniature trampoline and he had installed it into a group exercise program. And it became very popular during the aerobics craze because it was a little bit less impactful than the ground. Mm-hmm. Now, fast forward, bungee cords have replaced springs, and JumpSport uses an adjustable bungee cord system that will reduce impact even from a spring round rebounder by 50%. And that's been tested on an accelerometer. So doing your cardio on a trampoline is going to be beneficial for two reasons. Number one, you're doing it in an environment that is at least 50%, sometimes upwards, at least maybe even as much as 80% less impactful than ground-based exercises. So whether you're jumping on the ground or jumping on a spring-based trampoline, if you use a bungee system from JumpSport, then you will get up to 80% less impact. So that's one benefit. Number two, because of the nature of the trampoline and the deeper throw and the G-force that's created by using bungees, you're going to recruit up to 30% more muscle doing the same exercises on the ground. So who doesn't want to get more benefit doing the exact same thing in the same amount of time? And everybody likes to quote the NASA study about the effectiveness of rebounding versus running. And I'm going to give you the reality of it. There was a test done on using the JumpSport trampoline versus running on a treadmill. It's basically 12 minutes of using the trampoline is equivalent to 20 minutes of running on a treadmill. Because of the extra muscle recruitment, the stability needed, like all of that plays into this in terms of the overall benefits of why it's more effective than running. Running is a linear exercise. So we're not even getting to the multidimensional aspect or proprioception or navigating space or any of the other things that come along with using a trampoline as your primary component for doing cardiovascular. But that's just one component of a vast array of things that will be beneficial for using the trampoline as part of your workout program.
You know, I saw that and it brought two questions to my mind. How do you rebound in space? Because you kind of need gravity there. And so that was one of the first questions I got, but we'll move past that. But, you know, one of the things I really like about the concept of rebounding and the tool is that when we engage in physical activity, whether we're doing strength or cardio, there's usually a different metabolic target. When we're doing strength training, we're trying to light up our central nervous system to get it to prepare to handle more load. We are improving the tissue capabilities. We're getting more red fiber. We're getting more white fiber. And then finally, we're also improving energy systems within the cell. And when we go back to cardiovascular, that tends to circulate around more energy systems in the cell. There's a little bit of tissue. The thing I love about rebounding is you can effectively hit all three of those things. Oh, look at the kitty cat. You can effectively hit all three of those things depending on load. Steve, how do you recommend someone that has your device? Is there a differentiation between strength and cardio, or is there just working out?
Oh, no. Strength and cardio are two definite, certainly different methodologies that you're trying to target specifically. And within each one of those, there's a myriad of ways to look at it. You can do light, moderate, or high intensity cardio. You can do long duration, short, depending on the type of strength training you're doing. What is your specific target or goal? Is it endurance? Is it strength? Is it power? And each one of those will have their own specific components on how you would train within the structure of each one of those. And yes, the benefits of strength training and cardio definitely are different on a metabolic level. I absolutely agree with you. But the beautiful thing about using this type of platform, so let's talk about JumpSport as a platform, not as a cardio trampoline. Think of it as a stability platform on steroids. Okay, so you've seen BOSU balls, you've seen stability pads, you've seen little foam blocks you stand on, all of those stability things. So think of JumpSport, instead of being convex like a Bosu ball, you have a concave dynamic environment that forces you to be in an unstable condition. The stimulus of that is that your body's inclination is to engage your muscular system, right? To do all the stabilization to start. So before you can even do cardio, you already have to activate a muscular component to what you're doing within the structure of this platform.
Yeah, neuromuscular. Right? Absolutely.
So you got neuromuscular going on, and now you're going to engage in cardio, and it can be light, it can be moderate, it can be heavy, it can be HIIT training. It can just be long duration aerobics. You can do your favorite, put a podcast on, or you can put your favorite music on and just go to town, and you like to dance and just do your favorite dancing for 20, 30 minutes. So depending on the intensity of the cardio is going to have a different result as far as that goes as well, right? So the cardiovascular component of that, or cardiopulmonary component of all of this, because your lungs are involved in all of that type of exercise, which is the part that people don't understand about cardiovascular. So when they think about it's just my heart and all of my vascular system, but your pulmonary system is a key component in delivering that oxygen through the vascular system to the necessary places, to your muscles that are actually engaging while doing cardiovascular. Now, is it as pronounced as when you do heavy load? No. But here's the beauty of using this platform as a component of whatever you're doing. And we won't even, this was just on the physical level. And I don't want to spend too long on this because I want to talk more about all the other things that people don't know about. Is that you're going to get not only strength training benefits, but also cardiovascular, depending on the type of application that you do on this platform. Okay? So that's the beauty of it. That's where you're going to burn 20 to 30% more muscle or calories during your cardio, because you're engaging more muscle tissue to stabilize all these movements in an unstable environment.
I have a quick question with regards to shifting gears slightly to a daily usage. And I know rebounding and just this type of activity has been also utilized to upregulate lymphatic flow, especially in the morning. Can you share a little bit about the value there? Because especially in the world of the biohacking health optimization, people know, in the morning, my limbs are probably sluggish. I need to get that moving because the lymphatic system doesn't have a pump like the heart for the cardiovascular system. So I need to move in order to help my body get that junk out through the lymphatic system. So what is the value there? How does rebounding and that activity with JumpSport could help upregulate that lymphatic pump?
Okay, so there's some misinformation about why rebounding in general is good for your lymphatic system. So there's two things that move lymph through your body. One is movement. So walking, doing any activity that you do, and you see these new flows that people are doing in the morning from, there's 7 exercises for 7 minutes that moves your body and so on. And part of that has to do with up and down and not necessarily leaving the ground, but that's a ground-based way to do this. The second thing is gravity. And here's where the misconception comes, because they think that gravity, when you put your body under gravity, the gravity itself is what causes the lymph to push through your system. And using a trampoline, you're going to increase gravity exponentially. Therefore, it's going to help with that pumping system. But here's where the misconception is. The gravity is a catalyst to stimulate your muscular system to contract. So when I put my body under exponential gravity, whether it's 2 times, 3 times, and with JumpSport up to 4 times 1 atmosphere, which is what keeps us on the earth, right? Because if gravity worked, our lymphatic system would be flowing all the time because you're always under gravity. But as you increase gravity, your body's reaction to that force is contraction. And it contracts from your hair follicles all the way down to the bottom of your feet. So every time you compress your body under gravity, your body contracts. And then when I go to zero gravity, my body releases. But it's a muscular contraction that is creating the push, that is pumping the fluid through your system. So bouncing on a trampoline creates exponential gravity, and then zero gravity, creating a body to squeeze and release over and over, creating a natural pump that pushes the lymph through your system.
That was excellent. That was so good. I had no idea.
Steve, Steve, I'll tell you, one of the things I've been thinking a lot about lately. So while I've been in the longevity biohacking space here for a little
Mhm.
bit, my background is in sport performance. And you know what? I grew up, as an athlete, I struggled with injuries. And the answer to it back then, and remember, I'm an athlete back in the late 70s, early 80s, when we're just starting to evolve strength and conditioning at the time. And I had the ability to train with some amazing people using barbells. But I'll tell you, I've been thinking a lot lately about what would strength and conditioning look like if we never invented a barbell? That's the question I've been asking myself. And I'll
Well,
tell you, when I look at your technology, I see something that could be really, really beneficial. As I look at these things, because what we don't know yet is where is the point of diminishing returns when it comes to strength training. We know a stronger athlete is a better athlete, but typically the strongest athletes never make it onto the field. So there's a point of diminishing return here somewhere. And I look at the things that you're doing with G forces and the work that you're doing in rebounding as a real opportunity. If my daughter was a lacrosse player, hockey player,
okay.
a big sport athlete, listen, I sent her to Ohio State her freshman year. She could squat 400 pounds as a freshman girl and run with
Mhm.
lacrosse players, mainly because we had a weight room in our house, and this is what she learned. Now I'm starting to go back and second guess. Do we need to load the back with 400 pounds? Do we need to load some of these joints, or is the rebounding modality a superior modality? And I think we're getting ready to be able to make that argument. Have you seen anybody do research on this, on using your modality as a tool for athletic performance and rehabilitation?
Okay, well, there's not a whole lot of money in because it's actually a cure as opposed to a band-aid. So there's not a lot of research that's been done on it specifically, but there are plenty of like professional training facilities that use our product as part of their training methodology to help with explosive movement. And what you're finding now, it's not about just how much weight can I lift? It's about how does it translate to what I'm doing? So sport specific conditioning
Right.
and explosive movement and deceleration and all of these other kind of applications that have come as we understand more and more range of motion, functionality of muscle specific to the sport you're playing. So if I'm playing lacrosse, I'm doing a lot of rotational work. Look, it's all great that you're strong and that you can press. It depends on what position you play as well. So if I'm in there and I'm in a thing and I'm pushing on that, the defender trying to score and that person or the defender's pushing against me and you're in those kind of scenarios, sure. Do I need a much stronger, stable lower trunk area to be able to hold off that defender while I'm trying to shoot the cross ball into the net at that point? Sure. But what's the true functionality? Do I need quickness? Do I need explosive movement? Do I need fast twitch muscle fiber? We've been able to identify to a much greater degree the necessity of within individuals, within positions, within a sport as to the needs that they train within, the modalities that they use. Now, the trampoline is a great effective tool because of the non-impactive nature and a lot of the explosive plyometric kind of conditioning that we do with athletes. This particular platform, it lends itself quite wonderfully to those types of conditionings, right?
Mm-hmm.
But another thing that you're going to find is that it's a great warm-up tool or recovery tool. And because it's a portable kind of a thing, we know a lot about active recovery, right? So we train all these athletes regardless of the weight training or not. And we can get into a long dissertation that has nothing to do with this because I've been in this business a long time and working under load with specific purpose. I think that we've come to realize that just lifting for the sake of lifting is not, to really answer your questions, lifting for the sake of lifting or creating exponential load on your system is not beneficial without a purpose. In other words, I think,
Agree.
you know, creating extra load or resistance training of some kind, whether it's dumbbells, barbells, kettlebells, wands,
Whatever.
pins, weighted. My favorite now is the weighted vest. I see every 40-year-old man and woman in the world running down the street with a weighted vest. Why? Why are you doing that? That doesn't make any sense to me. If you're not doing it with a purpose, then it makes no sense, no matter what kind of strength training or conditioning you're doing. You need to have a reason why you're wearing that vest that's specific to some activity or sport that you're going to use as an application. That's my 2 cents from a personal training standpoint. But getting back to the trampoline component, I think that as a recovery tool, it's a fantastic thing. I think as a platform to do your strength training on, to put you in an unstable environment that forces you to recruit more core muscles to strengthen and stabilize your core while doing all of this, that's what separates it from the ground. Like, why would I do these exercises on this platform when I can do them on the ground? Well, if I'm going to recruit 30% more muscle tissue, let's just say, the vast majority of it being my core, which most everybody I've ever trained in my life starts with core training because they can't even stabilize well enough to do the exercises correctly.
And at the end of the day, that's the benefit we're looking for. I mean, whether you're an athlete, an athlete's parent, or an athlete's grandparent, there's benefits that come from the improved stability at a performance level. And then there's benefits that come from that at an adult level. And then at an elderly level, there's huge benefits that come from that. Again, I love your modality as a universal tool. And I love your point. You've got to have a purpose. You got to think. Listen, I get going into the weight room as a place to go meet a mate and kind of show off and work the ego. Okay, I get it. I was there 40 years ago. I'm not there anymore. But when I'm engaging, I'm looking at a tool like yours, and I'll tell you, Klaudia, the thing that's going through my mind right now is doing rebounding work, blood flow restricted.
I figured.
Oh my God, my mind is spinning right now on that.
Okay. So think about this. So we talked about the lymphatic system a little bit. I want to go back to that. Think of it, if it's benefiting a system that doesn't have a pump, then it's also assisting any other system that has fluid in it. So as my body squeezes, it's assisting my cardiovascular system, my endocrine system. All of those systems that have fluid that are part of their system is going to benefit from being compressed and released. So then I was telling you that there's so much more to this than just the physical component. So I can go on we could spend the whole podcast talking about just the physical workout benefits of using this platform as a component of what you do, not only for the non-impactive nature of it, putting you into a situation that progresses exercise. So in other words, try doing a deadlift while standing on the trampoline. The amount of weight that you can lift drops by 20%. Because you're now navigating, system where your whole body, you can't just stand there weakly on the ground. I always laugh at people. I go, look, here's the best benefit. It forces you to use good form, to engage your core. You cannot cheat while using this platform doing strength training.
I agree.
End of story. Yeah. That's the number one strength training benefit to this product is that you cannot cheat. So he forces you to do exercises correctly. No, you can't use momentum. You'll fly off the trampoline. You can't just be willy-nilly. You can't be thinking about groceries while you're trying to do things, or you will fall off. So you have to be in the moment. You have to be mindful of what you're doing and be focused on lifting, curling, pressing, squatting, whatever it is.
Just moving.
It forces you to be in the moment and to have good form. So that's number one. But let's go back to the other things. And we talked a little bit about lymphatic flow and why that's important. And, I can't remember her name, Barbara, I can't remember her last name, but she talks a lot about this is the greatest exercise for your lymphatic system because of those things. And I explained why that's important and how that actually functions. But one of the things they don't talk about is the brain, like how this affects your brain. So I don't know if you've ever seen kids when they go to the trampoline park. If you just pay attention, they all are smiling.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not they're just having a good time. This is actually a biological thing where your body releases serotonin, oxytocin, dopamine. Your brain gets flooded with all of those happy hormones. So that's why you're happy. Okay. Then on top of that, and I always say this, and I'll say it, and I say it all the time, that jumping on a trampoline is better than a cup of coffee. 3 minutes on a trampoline releases adrenaline into your system because your body doesn't know why it's being compressed and released. It's this stimulus of my muscles contracting and releasing stimulates that fight or flight temporarily to figure out what's going on. Why am I feeling like this? And then your body's reaction to that is to bring adrenaline so that you can be ready to go for whatever it is that's going on. Okay, so those are some of the key brain benefits that happen when you bounce on a trampoline. So as a component of, let's just use it in a different capacity, you have kids that are neurodivergent to some extent, whatever that may be. It seems to benefit them and calm them down, give them more focus. All of those things occur with kids that have neurodivergence. So it's a great tool as a parent to be able to help your kids navigate a situation that's out of their control. So the trampoline it works in that capacity. Okay. And then we talk a little bit about it's a stress reducer, right? So all those happy hormones are going in. All of the cortisol that pumps into your body when you're stressed out now stops. So it kind of is a natural inhibitor of cortisol. So now I'm not stressed. So now my gut's going to feel better because stress is the main thing that targets your gut health. Well, one of the main things, other than ingesting things, obviously, that would be a problem. But I don't want to get into food and drinks and stuff. But just on a physical level, stress is one of the worst things that could possibly happen to a body. It can cause all kinds of physical manifestations just being under a heavy load of stress, right? So if you're stressed all the time, you're going to create a lot of oxidation in your body, right?
Yeah.
And so all of these things are prevented by just calming your system by using this trampoline as a fun, engaging way to do exercise or just start your day because I need to do lymphatic flow. And then another big misconception about using trampolines is that I got to do it for 30 or 60 or 80 minutes and I got to go and sweat and I got to jump around like those crazy girls I see on the internet. And I'm like, look, if you do 3 to 5 minutes, 2 to 3 times a day, you're going to see amazing benefits on a health level that you never thought were possible. And you never even have to leave the surface of the trampoline. We call it a health bounce.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the main benefits of a health bounce, and this goes both for men and women. Men don't think they have this problem, but your pelvic floor is really important for 2 reasons. Well, each one is different. For women and men, it's different. For women, your bladder sits right on top of your pelvic floor. So as your pelvic floor gets weak, your bladder gets bounced around, and then you have a propensity to have to go to the bathroom more often because of riding in the car or bouncing on a trampoline or whatever you're doing. But as we strengthen that pelvic floor through using the trampoline as part of our programming or part of our daily routine, we then find that we don't have to do it as often or not at all. Okay. And as for men, our pelvic floor is important because our prostate sits right on top of that. And at some point, if you live long enough, you will have prostate cancer. So the longer you can keep your prostate protected and from getting banged around, the less likely or the longer it will take for you to have any issues with your prostate, which potentially would be cancerous at some point in your life. So your pelvic floor is also benefited by using the trampoline and not in an aggressive way. So that's the part that people don't understand is that the health benefits of this product, I think sometimes far outweigh the physical benefit of doing my exercises or working out. But here's the one thing. There's never been a time where I get up in the morning and be like, I want to go run on the treadmill. I want to go do my elliptical. Like, I don't think, but I'm thinking, do I want to go bounce on the trampoline? Because, you already know you're going to be happy. You already know, your brain already knows the effect. And here's the beautiful thing. You're hardwired as a human being to stay away from anything that you don't like. So anything that brings discomfort to you, your body is hardwired to go run the other direction. The trampoline is the opposite of that. So it's the one thing that your body will be like, oh, trampoline? Okay, yeah, because I'm not going to be miserable. I'm going to be happy.
You can't walk past a trampoline, particularly one like yours, and not want to step up on it. It's impossible.
Yeah. I mean, even when we were at the conference at the Fit Father, Fit Mother, like it's really difficult. Like, oh, let me bounce around a little bit, or let me throw a couple of balls on it. It's really interesting how I love everything you just touched on because Don and I have an outline that I'm kind of looking at to ask the questions, and you're like touching. All right, he's already covered that. Great. Like it's like you see the outline, but you don't. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I didn't see any. You haven't said any of that. So
I want to touch on a couple things. Number one,
okay,
for our audience, if you haven't Googled crazy girls bouncing on the internet, be careful. Okay. So I just want you to, maybe you should go to Steve's website to do that. So just be careful. Number two, when you look at elite performance, and again, I go back to elite performance. It's
Of course.
difficult. It's difficult to go into elite performance and not see a barbell. And again, I'm going from the thesis of maybe a barbell is not necessary. And I go to, but in elite facilities, what they're doing is you're now starting to see vibration tables, multi-$1,000 vibration tables that are going into these racks to create a perturbation to use during the movement. Listen, I see your device as having more benefit than that. I'm
Well,
not suggesting that you get on a trampoline and squat with a barbell. Now we're starting to get into a circus act, but using this device with the purpose. What are we doing it for? I want to strengthen my hips and legs. I want to lower injury. I want to do these things. I think it can be an outstanding, outstanding modality. And you're right. You can't walk past one of these and not want to jump on it and start to bounce around a little bit. But there's also the reactive forces that are coming into play and their ability to improve the tissue quality, red tissue, white tissue, bone tissue, improve all those. It's superior to anything. You know what? Listen, you can't watch the Olympics without seeing the trampoline athletes and saying,
oh, man.
holy mackerel, look at the literally, we see the gymnasts with their tumbling runs and they're impressive. The stuff that these trampoline athletes do are just next level.
They're doing quad now, which is
It's
something
unbelievable.
that didn't think was even humanly possible. Like when
Wow.
I did competitive trampoline in my youth and I trained to be a stuntman, if we did a double, even a triple, like one thing was pretty crazy amazing. And these, you could do combos and you do a double with a full layout, or pike triple was like unheard of. Now they're doing quad, so they're spinning and
Incredible.
flipping all at the same time and then landing it and doing it over and over and over in
Yeah.
succession, and it is unbelievable.
And for our listeners, you don't have to do quad to get the benefit.
No.
Us
Let's talk.
starting again. Listen, we see the work environment. Years ago when I was teaching and I had an office, everybody lost their minds when I took the chairs out of my office and put in the big fizz balls as chairs.
Yeah.
And then about 2 years of that, 2 years after that, I went ahead and took all the balls and chairs out and just went in with a standing desk and a standing platform. So when you came to my office for a meeting, we stood and had the meeting. I love the idea from an office standpoint, or from we're now not talking about the athlete. We're talking about the athlete's parents. Okay. You're in an office. You need creativity. Put one of these in the corner of your office, stand up, take a minute and just go over. And now I don't think you can hold a video meeting bouncing on the trampoline. You're going to have this, in and out of the screen.
Well, we do actually
at work?
sometimes have meetings with when you're on the trampoline. So
But these
Maybe
are
obnoxious,
wonderful.
but
These are wonderful, like what we've talked about, the movement breaks, the movement snacks that we want to
yes,
do across the day. As a lot of people like I do, I work a lot in front of a computer, whether I'm standing or sitting, that's still stagnant type of
correct.
posture. So switching it up with 3 to 5 minutes of movement can be so important. And I wanted to touch on, before we go further, about an additional aspect of the cognitive benefit, and it has to do with neuroplasticity. There is a level of challenge that occurs when you're bouncing on a trampoline around spatial awareness. Can you touch on that a little bit, Steve?
Okay, so you said, how do you bounce in space? And part of that study had nothing to do with that. So when you're exposed to long-term, like zero gravity, your body starts to deplete bone density. And if you don't use it, you lose it. Your body just reabsorbs that calcium because it's no longer necessary. But as they came back to Earth, they found that most traditional exercises, ground-based, cause stress fractures or even breaks in some of these astronauts that had been in prolonged space. So they were trying to come up with a way to create structural benefits to their body without the destructive nature of the ground. So remember we talked about contraction and the muscle contraction for your lymphatic system? That same contraction puts force against your skeletal system, promoting the growth of bone or increasing bone density over time without the dangerous impactive nature of the ground, which would cause it to be counterintuitive, right? So the more vigorous I would exercise, the more prone I might be to creating an injury to these astronauts. So the trampoline was incorporated into that, which is how they found out the more effectiveness of it against the treadmill. Like that was kind of a side discovery. The main purpose of that was bone density, regrowth, creating a greater bone density for prolonged zero gravity exposure. And that's how they found all of that out, which is why this is really beneficial on that level. But as far as, remember we talked about when I said you go to zero gravity or you bounce in space, you're navigating in space. So as you go up and you have zero gravity, there's no pressure on your body for an instant, right? You go from gravity, exponential gravity, to zero gravity for a moment. So each one of those is a moment. 4Gs and zero only happen for a brief second. And in that, you create, again, that same kind of thing. Your brain gets put under pressure and then it has zero. So it does create a natural pumping action to the, your brain and the way it's flexing. And that's that neuroplasticity that you talk about in terms of a stimulation that your body doesn't normally get to have as you get older. And this is what I talk about. If you watch a 3 or 4-year-old boy, it's how we were supposed to navigate. They'll hold their parents' hand, but yet they're chasing butterflies and they're spinning around. And I wouldn't use a little girl because they're much more polite and they do what they're told, especially when they're young. But boys, they're all over the place. They're in 3-dimensional space. They're jumping off the ground. They're spinning in circles. And we start to lose that as we get older, right? We become more linear. And like you just said, I sit at my desk all day. Whether I'm standing or sitting, I'm in one place forward. We're becoming more like a turtle. We look at our screen all day. We look at our phones all day. We become more and more linear. And then to go back to Don's point, as we become senior in the senior population, then you start to lose proprioception. You start to lose your balance because we don't navigate that space. The trampoline forces you to operate in that space, not only neurologically, cerebrally, but also your body's ability to navigate multi-dimensional planes is really vastly improved, therefore lessening the possibility that you will fall because of imbalance.
I had a couple neurons that were flashing the whole beginning of our interview, and it finally came together for me. One of the better books I've ever read on movement and education was Dr. John Ratey's book, Spark. The Revolution, it's the new science of exercise and brain. And in his book, they actually reference trampolining. It's one of the big parts. And again, for our listeners, one of the benefits of exercise and education and development is you release a thing called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. This is what stimulates learning. It's catalyzed with dopamine.
Okay.
When you begin to move, you have an environment that is receptive of learning. All learning begins in the motor cortex. So we get this fired up. And Rady talks about this in his book, Spark. And again, that book now is 20, 30, 25 years old, but it's excellent. And when you have someone like that talking about your product, you don't have a better representation. This is a Harvard scientist who studies learning. And again, he mentions your book. It took me a little bit to bring this together, but that's what happens in these interviews. No, I think that's really cool. And again, it's that BDNF. And he actually goes in and talks about, okay, let's work with ADHD. Let's work with people with Alzheimer's, depression, things like that. These are all relative to that BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor release, that I believe your product is a phenomenal tool.
Well, look, I've been doing this for 15 years with JumpSport, and you learn something new every day. So I'm going to do a little bit more research on that and make sure that I can incorporate that into any future conversations that I have with people, as long as I kind of understand the science behind where he's coming from. But remember this. Most people are addicted to things like sugar, or let's just use a chemical like cocaine, because of the serotonin and the dopamine that you just open the receptors like somebody turned the faucet, you turn the faucet on full blast. So if I can use a natural, healthy vehicle by which to be able to stimulate that same kind of thing, especially first thing in the morning to start my day, And I always tell people this: you do a nice wellness bounce for 3 to 5 minutes to start your day, you will feel so much better,
Love it.
so much more alert. You like you said, you're going to stimulate. You've been laying still for 12 hours, so your body, your lymph system is dormant. You're not moving, and you're not under exponential gravity, so your lymph system is doing absolutely nothing. So doing something to reinvigorate that and get it moving, and remember what the lymph system does. Let's just remind all your viewers what this is for. Your lymph system is your garbage man. So he's not working at night, and the first thing in the morning, he's got to get up and remove all of the debris that was created while your body was repairing itself, so that your body can function correctly. And the garbage man is responsible for taking all of that debris to the dump and putting it in recycling and getting it to your kidneys and your liver, and it's being expelled out of your body through the proper channels. So that's number one, so that more debris can be created while you're functioning the rest of the day. But the second function of it is lymphocytes. And lymphocytes are the hunter killers in your body that destroy bacteria and viruses and the other kind of adverse stuff. That they're the first line of defense. They're the Marines that go in there and attack all that. So if your lymph system is sluggish or bogged down, it's not efficient at, number one, removing toxins, but number two, at boosting your immune system. So the two main functions of that are debris removal and your immune system, for your frontline protection of your immune system. So it's really important that your lymphatic system is efficient, so that the rest of your body can continue to do what it needs to do on an effective level.
So good.
Absolutely.
There's so many aspects that we're touching on that are often something that Don and I talk about in terms of building that resilience for the body to really be able to withstand that environmental pushes that we are constantly sort of fighting against. Now, we touched a little bit on the nervous system and neurotransmitters and adrenaline. I wanted to talk a little bit about, yes, we do get in a good mood when we're rebounding. Now, how does that relate to an upregulation within the parasympathetic state or parasympathetic tone, in addition to how the breathing comes into play with improving vagal tone? How does that fall into place?
Well, I always like to refer back to, like, everybody, we talk about high performers like Tony Robbins or Grant Cardone, some of these big influencers that talk about raising your energy state. And your parasympathetic, your nervous system is all involved in, how do I go from a low energy state to a high energy state? And your nervous system is absolutely involved in that. And we talked a little bit about why your body produces adrenaline. When you put yourself into that stimuli, your body's fight or flight mechanism is now activated. What happens when you go into fight or flight? Your nervous system goes on high alert. So you immediately become ready for whatever's going to happen. So I don't know the exact scientific mechanism that's occurring during that process. I just know that stimuli presents itself in a way that then produces that effect. I wish there were more studies out there that I could say, hey, go to this white paper that we have here, and you can read 27 references as to why that happened. But the truth is, I know from personal experience, and I like to speak from that level alone, that when I'm feeling a little down, or I've been working really hard, or I need to get ready for something, like before I got on this call, I bounce on my trampoline. And I don't know why, but I'm more alert. I'm a little more sharp. So I know that I'm ready to go. And so I know that is a result of my parasympathetic nervous system, and why I think is because of the fight or flight, like,
It's co-engagement.
switch
It's co-engagement.
that gets turned on.
So what you're doing is you're getting a sympathetic signal from the work. So your body's, and again, that reaction we call vigilance. But at the same time, we're getting a parasympathetic co-engagement, which I believe is the foundation of flow state. So when we look at optimal experience and understanding flow state, I think you have to have both. You have to have both the fear response and the recovery response, the sympathetic, parasympathetic. And I think you're creating something that goes right into flow state, which from a creative standpoint, Steve, it is gold. Okay. And maybe we should stop using gold as a reference. Maybe we start referring to AI chips or something like that. They seem to be more valuable than anything.
I don't know. Gold
Yeah,
is pretty high now.
yeah, gold is pretty high right now. But Yeah, you're getting co-engagement here. This is you're flirting with flow state. This is a tool. And flow state is the optimal environment. It's what we all strive for as a musician, as an artist, as an athlete, as anyone. That's where we want to be. And I think you're getting both of those with the bouncing.
What's interesting, I think, with the flow state, I'm glad that you mentioned it because we're talking about 3 to 5 minute bounce. I think for average Joe bag of donuts, as Don would usually say, it takes quite a bit of time to get into that flow state. It's not an instant switch from the stressed, distracted mind. But when you're rebounding, I think your physical and emotional body is pretty much forced to get into a state of I'm here right now. And that creates that sympathetic parasympathetic balance and allows for that flow state to come about much faster than if you were to just like wait for it writing something.
So I'm going to go back to Don's, wheelhouse here. And as far as when you do a warm up, when you go to warm up to do exercise, it takes 5-10 minutes, right? Before your heart rate gets into your target zone. 3 to 5 minutes on a trampoline, you are in your target zone. So because of the external rusher recruitment, and because, like I told you at the beginning, you have to be, I love this term though. I don't know why everybody, when I was a kid, everybody was mindful. We didn't have phones. We didn't have things. If you sat on a bus, you were on a bus. If you were watching condensation drip off the side of the thing or whatever you were doing, but you were mindful because you were mindful of your environment. You were mindful of the fact that you were sitting on a bus.
Right.
Like the only thing you could do to distract, maybe you brought a book if you could read while moving or something. But the truth is the trampoline forces us out of what's gone on now, which is overstimulated all the time. We are bombarded constantly. I mean, I have a watch on, a thing, a phone, whatever. We are constantly bombarded on a continual basis. So finding something, a tool that you can go within 3 to 5 minutes to completely disconnect from all of that noise and bring yourself into that kind of equilibrium where you guys are terming it as flow, but finding a place where you can just be in balance for just a moment, even if it's just temporary, to stop that so that you can reconnect with yourself. This is a tool that really will do that. And one of the things we didn't talk about is that JumpSport is a product, not just a trampoline. So we've only talked about it as a trampoline. So JumpSport offers a lot of accessories that go with it. You can use it as a full body weight rebounder. So we have an accessory that tilts the trampoline. And Klaudia was talking about how she was throwing balls at it. Yeah. But she can also jump. She saw people jumping on and off of it, right? Dr. Balduzzi was like, we did a little obstacle course and he was bouncing around and chasing me like we were two children. And trust me, I'm no longer a child, but I certainly act like one when I'm playing with those trampolines.
It's introductory ninja training.
Yeah, we also have handlebars for those people that feel uncomfortable about being in that environment to begin with. So we have not only a single handlebar setup, but we have a dual one so if somebody's really deconditioned and they need almost a therapeutic kind of environment to be in that low impact state, we have accessories that allow even the most deconditioned person to be a part of this process. Okay. Good. And again, I have people recovering from all kinds of things they have nerve sensitivity so bad that they can't even walk on a treadmill, but they can walk on the trampoline because of the non-impactive nature and the safe environment that we place them in. We also have accessories that turn it into a 360-degree sled. You can drive it around, you can pull it, it's got harnesses. So it's far more than that. And then you brought up the point about the vibration plates and how beneficial they are. And you're right, they can cost literally thousands of dollars to do what I believe that the trampoline is capable of doing on some level. Maybe it's not the same, but here's what I know. I can't take that vibration plate to the park. I can't take that vibration plate to the beach. I can't take that vibration plate to the Amazon, which I'm not sure why Klaudia didn't call me. I would have sent a trampoline so she could have bounced in the Amazon. I mean, that's the best. Talk about a great intro into your whole, your social media. Here I am bouncing in the Amazon on my JumpSport trampoline, right?
That's true.
I got to get into flow before I go climb through the jungle.
Yeah.
But the truth is, it is a very portable. It's very green. You don't need to plug it in. You've got all these other benefits that go along with why is this such a great tool? And I tell people that it's just another tool for you to put in your toolbox for your overall wellness. I don't like to think I think health goes into the wellness box. I think that it's important that you're physically active and you find an activity. Before we got on this thing, Don was talking about somebody had made a claim that doing a specific exercise was the best exercise you can do. And I unfortunately disagree with most experts because I believe the best exercise is the one that you'll do. And I know this for a fact. I don't know anybody that does love the trampoline that doesn't look forward to doing it. Now, there are certain people that are just not going to do the trampoline. And even if I told you that the trampoline was the greatest thing since sliced bread, if you're not going to do it, it doesn't matter. Yeah. So my advice to most people is find the things that you love and do them consistently. Whether it's the trampoline, and I'm not trying to dissuade anybody from using my product because I think it's an amazing tool that you have at your disposal. But Klaudia and I went to Biohacking Show, and there's so many things out there that we met each other because we went to the hyperbaric chamber and we kind of had a conflict of our scheduling. And that's how we got to be friends. Mm-hmm. And the good news is, like, if that's your thing, then just find a series of things that are going to be helpful to reconnect you to yourself, because your body is an amazing thing. It is the most adaptive thing on the planet Earth. Humans live in every condition, in every environment, and every little niche corner thing in every part of this planet, and there's no other organism that can do that. Now, there are organisms that live in all those environments, but not one organism that lives in all those environments. And that tells you how amazing your body is if you can just bring it back to that natural flow state of take it out of dysregulation. Yeah. And the trampoline is a good component for that, to help you reconnect with your own system.
One of the things that we talked a lot about in the Amazon is that how much disconnected we all are in so many different ways, from ourselves, from others, from nature, from whatever higher power you consider. We're just super disconnected. And what I love about trampolines and rebounding is that it really brings us back to connection. And also, I was really excited to bring you on because everything you just talked about, especially in this last 5 minutes, had to do with exactly what our audience is hungry for. What small thing can I do consistently that will make a big benefit across time? And rebounding seems to be one of those things where it doesn't require you to have insane equipment, a lot of time, be in any type of incredible shape. And yet you can do it consistently without sacrificing, I don't know, time with your family or time doing work. It fits seamlessly into a lot of people's schedule. I think, especially if you dedicate 3 to 5 minutes in the morning and then maybe 3 to 5 minutes in the afternoon. And is there anything I do want to ask? Is there any contradiction? Is there anybody who shouldn't be rebounding?
Well, look, I would always say before you start any kind of physical activity that you should check with your physician if you have pre-existing conditions or problems. But I'm going to give you, so I had both of my hips replaced. I was bouldering down a ravine and I went off a boulder and I dropped 8 feet, shattered my femoral head of my left leg, not knowing it. I walked on it for a long time. I had both my hips replaced. I had arthritis and football, and it's a long story, but at the end of the day, I had both my hips replaced. Within 5 days later, I was back on my trampoline. I went back to the doctor. He told me I was going to be ready to do anything for 6 months. 2.5 months later, he's like, what have you been doing? Like, how did you heal so fast? And remember, compression thing, I'm stimulating bone growth, growing around the implant that's in my femur. Remember, they chop off and they drill a hole and they literally pound a piece of titanium into your thigh. And your body has to grow around that because of these little spikes that they use. But I was able to recover so much faster by doing non-impactive movement and walking on the trampoline so that I could continue to move, and movement and gravity and stimulus. So my body recovered almost twice as fast as it would have had I done ground-based exercises. So there's a personal story about using the trampoline as a recovery tool from a severe major surgery that I recovered over twice as fast as what the expectation was, which is really important when it comes to finding things that are going to be beneficial to your life in general. And I'm a very physical person. So for me to be down for 6 months was not acceptable.
Not an option.
Not an option. Yes.
Steve, hey, so if our listeners listen, they listen, they're like, okay, I want to explore this. They go to jumpsport.com. They can order a product there. I'll tell you what, I don't want us to finish this up without developing an affiliate relationship. So I get you on my website. Programming. I see on your website you have a JumpSport TV. Is that accurate? Is that the
Yeah. So the good news about that is that when you buy a trampoline from JumpSport, you get 60 days of access to that programming as part of your purchase so that you know what to do. I think currently we have about 250 active videos on there, anywhere from beginner exercises across multiple modalities, whether it be cardio, strength training, balance, core work. I think we even have some Pilates and bar based stuff that you can follow along with. If you find what you like, you can certainly sign up. We constantly put new programming in there. I think on a monthly basis, we put 10 or so brand new videos every month that go into the process so that people are always having fresh content, but there's stuff in there that's been there forever. If you don't want to do that, you can always go on YouTube. Their JumpSport Fitness has a YouTube channel, and there's lots of free programming to get you started. So, and then the best part is we wanted to keep that affordable. So even if you wanted to continue to do it after you make a commitment to buying a very, we wouldn't say that we were inexpensive. I don't think that we're expensive. I think that we bring value to the product that you will be purchasing, not only in the durability, but the warranty that we offer on our product. I think you'll be very happy with a JumpSport. We didn't even talk about all the design things that are patented, like the curved legs, which makes it very stable, the adjustability that allows for multiple users or longevity for your cords. Like there's a lot of quality and thought that goes into this product so that I think you will have an amazing experience using that. But we want to make sure that you can afford to continue to use this platform. So I believe right now it's about $10 a month if you did it on a monthly basis with no long-term commitment. And if you buy it on a yearly basis, I think it's $69.95. So it's like $7 a month or $6 a month if it's 12 times, whatever. It just into 72, I think it's $6 a month. So it makes it very affordable to continue to use that platform and have access to it. We tried to use it as more of a marketing thing as opposed to we're going to charge you. We're not Peloton. We're not trying to get you $50 a month to be a part of our family. We want you to continue to use the product and feel comfortable in being able to find the types of exercise or programming that you look forward to doing while using this product.
Love it.
Right.
Well, I think that's one of the challenges. I talk to multiple equipment companies, throughout the month and year, and a lot of them have a good idea. I don't want to take anything away from any of them, but the challenge is if you want to get to the mass market, most people are not geeks about exercise like we are. And it's important to give them the programming tools. Start here, do this, and let them explore your product. And I think as you do that, you're going to improve and it looks like you guys do that. So I want to make sure that our audience hears that. I love the idea that you have a YouTube channel. I love the idea. Do you have a consultative? I mean, do you have trainers out there that if someone wants to get a personal relationship with someone about how to use the product most effectively, do you have trainers?
So here's the thing. The way we've set up our JumpSport TV is that we've partnered with what we call premier partners that are other bounce instructors that have studios or methods, and that we basically collect a lot of our content from them directly. So if you found somebody that you really loved in our platform, you can always reach out to them through Instagram or their own or their website.
Yeah.
And you can contact them directly to set up either personal sessions, or you can start streaming their programming because you like that. But we have it's kind of like you went to the grocery store and there's like every vendor and brand that you could want. And then I find the one I like and then I just buy that one. So we encourage people to find what you want. Like I said, it's what you'll do. So if let's say Susie Smith has a method and she's on JumpSport TV and you like her and you use JumpSport, but you literally just like her workouts, then you just go to Susie, and we have no problem with that because we encourage and we support our premier partner program by exposing all of our community to the type of programming that they really want. So not only do we offer programming, but there are literally hundreds of other types of and methods using the JumpSport product that I'm sure that somewhere in there that you will find something you love. But even if you don't, I told you earlier, put your headphones on, put on your favorite music, put on a podcast, whatever floats your boat, your favorite book, and just move, just walk, just dance, just hop up and down. You never even have to leave the surface of the trampoline, and you're still going to get benefits from using this product.
Love it.
Not only physically, but I told you, your core is going to get stronger. One of the things I didn't tell you, the more vigorously you exercise, the more you get a free Brazilian butt lift. It like literally raises you, like your butt will climb up the back of your legs and go right back where it was when it first started. So there are so many other little things that people tell me later that there was a benefit. I've received hundreds of testimonials from people that have written me letters personally telling me how JumpSport has changed their life, how they had postpartum, or they were depressed, or they struggled with ADHD, or some other issue that they wrote me a letter saying that if I didn't have a JumpSport, thank you so much for the quality thing, because I spent a lot of money on this and I wasn't sure what was going to go on because I bought other trampolines from Amazon and they fell apart or they ripped apart or they broke or whatever happened to them. And so then I felt like, oh my God, should I really do this? And then they found that the longevity and the quality and the family, the community that JumpSport has was something that they really needed, and it really changed their life. And so it's really heartwarming to me to know that I've been a part of something that is actually changing people's lives.
Nah, it's the
That's
best.
brilliant. That's
Listen,
awesome.
Klaudia, what do we want to close up with? What you got?
I want to take 2 minutes, no more than that, because I want people to understand what is behind you. And I know we didn't have time and we weren't going to go deep into what is written behind you, that liquid hydrogen, but I do want to ask about the reason behind a trampoline company expanding its line into molecular hydrogen. Obviously, molecular hydrogen is having a moment right now with a lot of people pushing it. There's a lot more science that need to be published in order for it to truly stand its ground, but it certainly is having a moment. So I just want to take a couple of minutes, because when people go to your website at jumpsport.com, they will inevitably come across this product if they're shopping around and browsing. So I just want to ask what it is and why did you guys expand into that field?
So I am the product development director for JumpSport, and I think it's a natural move for a fitness company to provide people with a quality product for recovery. That was the original intention of bringing it on as a JumpSport product. So that hydrogen water, and I am a level 1, almost a level 2 Molecular Hydrogen Institute consultant, whatever they call now. I have taken the test, and what I understand about hydrogen and all the benefits of what it does, and I'll give it to you in a quick synopsis. Think of your body like a race car. And if your race car is out of tune, it's not going to function very well, no matter what fuel you put in it, no matter what you do, right? So think about all the other supplements, all the other things that you do, like your lymphatic system. The trampoline helps optimize your lymphatic system and helps bring your body to a point where it's functioning properly. This is a tool, hydrogen itself is a tool that helps optimize on a cellular level. Okay, so that's number one. So now I'm going to make my engine run good. It's like taking it to the mechanic. And then I got sick of seeing all the electrolyte formulas out there that are just loaded with sodium. And I don't want to get into a big, long dissertation about why that's not a good thing, because concentration is important in whatever you're taking, salt included, sodium, whatever you want to call it. And then I created something that's for the average Joe. I created something that has a mild electrolyte formulation that you can take daily, multiple times a day. And even if you're an elite athlete, you could use this product and still get 1,000 milligrams of salt if you took it 4 times. But for the rest of us, normal people, ingesting 1,000 milligrams of sodium is just a horrible thing. Not only that, I use very natural ingredients. It's a no sugar A lot of people don't want to take sugar, so we use a little bit of stevia, which is not on high levels, so it's not really going to have any adverse effects that I know of. And the best part is that it's all certified, so that everything we're telling you about that product is actually what we say it is from a third-party tester that will certify that whatever claims we're making are actually foundational based on testing. Okay, so here's a recovery tool to doing a really great exercise at JumpSport on our trampolines, using our accessories or doing whatever. We thought it was a very complimentary thing to offer you a recovery tool so that when you go back to exercise again, regardless of what that is, whether it's the trampoline or not, that you have something that you can trust that's going to actually be beneficial to you being a high performance athlete. Whether you're the average Joe or you are an actual Olympic athlete, I think this is a tool, another tool that we can offer from JumpSport that's quality and dependable, and that you're going to actually see viable results. That's my 2-minute elevator pitch for you.
Hey, and that's, I mean, frankly, I have tested it and tried it, and I bought it at the last conference, and it is very delicious. Like, I'm a huge fan of electrolytes to a point where I drink them daily, obviously, because I train, but even just when I travel, I think it's super important. And Don and I had an episode on hydration and how important it is to hydrate with electrolytes, because of the fact that if you're just drinking pure water, you're just depleting your electrolytes. And shameless plug, I mean, you do have a product that fits into my flavor profile that I'm like, okay, this isn't too sweet, but it's sweet enough, and it's got no junk in it. So kudos to you guys and in you formulating that. So I just did want to mention that. So if you are curious on the hunt for the next electrolyte that you're looking for, JumpSport has this one, and I really, really recommend testing it if you're into it or not. And also jump around. I mean, it is such a fun experience. And as we've talked about this, it comes with a wide range of low-hanging fruit benefits that you can sustain long term.
Depends on your position. It might be not so low hanging. That might be more important than exercising.
That's right.
Like your wellness, your physical well-being, your overall health, and your brain health and your lymphatic system may be way more important than working out, because maybe you like to do some other type of activity. But the good news, even if that is the case, it is a tool that you can do on your off days that are not going to prevent you from doing whatever it is you do love to do by being too impactive. Or I know way too many times when I try to train and I try to do something different, that it may interfere with something that I like to do on a consistent basis, like hiking. And if I do, let's say I do some sort of high intensity plyometric workout on the ground, it just beats the, what out of your body. So I just find it's just a very forgiving way to be able to still get a high intensity workout with all the destructive problems that could occur by you doing ground-based exercises in the same capacity.
Indeed. And sometimes it is the type of movement for longevity that works the best, that one that you enjoy and keep doing over and over again. So if you got away anything from this podcast, it is do something consistently that you like to do, because your body will want to do it over and over again. And also be sure to subscribe and follow, and let us know if you've tried any type of rebounding or activities. And if you have any questions, let us know. You can find out more about JumpSport at jumpsport.com, if I'm correct. And you guys also have an Instagram, which is what, at JumpSport?
At JumpSport Fitness.
Yeah, at JumpSport Fitness. Awesome. And Steve, if somebody wants to reach out to you, where would they find more about you?
Well, I do have
no
an
need
Instagram.
to give cell phone numbers.
No, I do have an Instagram. If they want to DM me, it's at Carver Complete Fitness.
Okay.
And, I certainly think, but if they leave a message at JumpSport Fitness in the DMs and they make it specifically to me, I certainly will get that message as well. So.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much. And you can find Don on Instagram, and be sure to find him on Train, Recover, Win, which is his website, as well as on Instagram, which you've been putting up quite a bit of content on Train, Recover, Win.
Yeah, a little bit starting to flow through. I'm an old boomer's learning how to do a better job with this. So that's what we're trying to drive.
Awesome. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining. We'll see you next week. And thank you so much, Steve, for your time.
Anytime.
Thanks, Steve.
Bye, Don.